Good morning, Renee.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm very good, thank you.
That's good. This is my business partner, Renee, and we this morning are going to discuss feelings of the moment. And if you see me looking down, it's because I can't remember my own name. I have to refer to my notes. And how so feelings of the moment and how they are interpreted differently by each of us, since we each understand the world from our own unique perspective, therefore differently. Now, one of the things that we talked about, or that we're going to talk about, is oh, I should offer, or I should ask that if this is your first time tuning in with us, please let us know and where you're from. We'd love to get to know.
Yes.
So Renee says, or Renee, you go first. You talk about what you think feelings are versus behaviors or traits, and or how they're used in your world.
Well, in my world, I should say, I'm a mature woman, a strong woman, but a little bit bullheaded, no comment. So I always look at things where I have a lot of patience in some categories and zero patience in others. Because then I start re-talking myself, going, 7 minutes patience is okay compared to 7 days. And sometimes I have to really look at things myself because I will pick and choose what is a good level of patience for each argument. So sometimes if I'm thinking, well, I'll go shovel the snow, I'll give it an hour. Well, half an hour later, I go out there because it's getting to be too much snow, compared to something I look at with my business going, no, I should just leave things so I can get a really good view and a perception of everything included. And I'll tell myself for 7 days. And all of a sudden that 7 days turns into 2. And then, then I'll
Or
change
perhaps
things.
a few hours, even.
It could be a few hours. Yes, it can be. But I think it's okay. But I don't know. We get into this thing about we're going to do something. How long do we wait? Does it go into like what you and I had been talking about before? Does it go into laziness if you wait too long? I think it really depends how you're wired. What do you think?
Well, see, I think it's important to define the difference between a behavior or a trait and a feeling. And I don't think patience is, or acceptance for that matter, I don't think either of those two things are a feeling. I think they're a behavior or they're a trait. Or feelings to me are things like joy, surprise, love. Those are emoted, right? So they're feelings. So acceptance or patience, God knows I had very little patience when I was young. Thankfully, I hope I'm maturing. I'm only 71, so um, that is getting better over my life. And the more I learn about myself and why I work the way I do, the more that becomes relevant. Like fear, anxiety, dread, those are all feelings, right? And we learn how to manage those, or which ones we want to keep, which ones we have to let go of. And of course, you're absolutely, well, we're both right in that each of us sees the world from our own perspective. And that goes back to how we're raised, the things we learned, the things we reacted to, all those kind of things, right?
How those wires got plugged in. Yeah.
Yeah. But we can change them, but we have to discover them,
Yes.
So yeah. So I don't know. Patience, to me, patience is the tolerance that I need to have with my husband, who's a little bit older than me, and he's slow. Oh my God, he's slow. And then he's a doer, but things like that. So, and in our business, patience is when I can't I'm getting much better at this though. I can leave my ad alone for 7 days. I can do that. But of course, I had to have 1 or 2 or 4 or 700 slaps on the head first. So, so I'm not sure, and I'm sure you have a perspective on that. Like, what do you
Well,
think?
for me, I agree with you totally, Vicky. But for me, and this is where we're all individual, it doesn't mean we're wrong, but I try and change things. Well, I've waited long enough. Oh, I could be missing something. Oh, I could be gaining something. Like, that's one thing that I do change my mind. And I have zero patience for anything. And that's probably where my husband comes in. But not that I think he doesn't have a lot of patience with me because I change my mind a lot.
But do you think that that boils down to not trusting your instincts? Like, because as I know you, I know that there are some things where you definitely trust your instincts, and other things where you jump around. And I have been trying very hard in my life consistently to trust that instinct. You know, that little voice that says, do it now or don't do it now. Or else the opposite side of that is that the minute I think about it too long, then I start second guessing it.
Well,
And
and
then
I
go ahead.
think you're exactly right. And it does come, I think it does come from how we were wired in my case anyway, because for me, I always grew up thinking if you sit still, you're failing. So if I sit back and try and have patience and not keep going 20 hours a day, then I think maybe I'm letting myself down. And that's where I do second guess myself.
Well, you know, I come from my we all have a story in our history, but one of the things that I know, and this is what I think I believe has happened to me, is I come from an alcoholic background. So one of the things that happens when you come from an alcoholic background is you don't trust your reality, right? Like, you see what you see, but there's always a ridiculous explanation for what you are sitting there looking at. And so then we can't, we don't trust what we see. And that has been really relevant in my life because it took absolute focus to start changing that in my life, where I could trust what I see, what I assess, that hit that you get, that I could trust that, because you grow up like that and you second guess everything. And you tolerate a bunch of stuff that you shouldn't tolerate.
Correct. And then from my experience, like, that's exactly it. It doesn't matter what age we are.
No.
We all of a sudden decide we're not going to tolerate a certain thing. And then someone thinks there's something wrong with us because we've changed.
And then you second guess yourself. You go, oh,
Yes.
you know, and that becomes an instinct because we started that way, but it doesn't mean we can't change it. And those are behaviors, you know,
Yes.
they're behaviors.
They're
That we
behaviors
keep
that lead
saying.
to how I feel or how you feel or how someone feels is because of behavior, reaction. They all work. But I think the number one thing also is that it doesn't matter how we do it or when we change things or why we change things. I think it just kind of proves, for my case anyway, no matter what age we are, we can still change things. We can still
Yeah,
learn how to have patience. We
yeah,
can still learn how to accept feelings, how to move forward.
yeah. No, I totally agree. Have we got anybody on here right now? No.
No, not right now. They're all going
Um,
to watch the replay.
yeah, good. um, I wrote down a few what I thought were traits or behaviors, and for my interpretation of how this works, acceptance, patience, integrity is a big one. That's a behavior, right? A way of being in the world. Honesty, loyalty, respectfulness, responsibility, humility, compassion, fairness. And I've often wondered about rage, because rage, it, I think rage is used in a negative way. We're afraid, and some people use rage as a way of compensating for that fear. And it goes to even trying different things, right? You judge it and you go into this rage about it, and then that's it, right?
It's
So,
almost like rage and power almost go
yeah,
hand in hand.
yeah. And a way of overpowering others, right? And
Yes.
it's masking fear. Um, so yeah. Anyway, I see that we do have different perspectives in some ways, but only, it goes back to that thing, right? Where we each of us sees the world from our own unique perspective, and it's the only one we can see the world from.
I agree. And the total thing, I think, is you're not wrong, and neither am I. We all look at it individually,
Hmm.
and it's okay.
Yeah, and it's okay. That's exactly
And it's okay to change at our age.
it. Hey, I was doing some work here. Well, it's a few years ago now, and there were 80-year-old people in there that wanted to change um, the way they've been in life, or surely to God the world didn't have to be the way they had viewed it so far. So yeah, and my husband's in his 80s too, and he's constantly changing. So that's always, I think, a good thing.
It's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. So that'll do it for today. I guess we're at our, oh my goodness, we're at our 11
Oh,
11
we're
minute
over.
mark. So thank you to all those who are watching,
Yes.
and we'll
And
see you in,
hello on the replay.
yeah, for 7 sakes, watch the replay. Have a very great Christmas and a happy New Year. God, 2022 has to be better.
It will rock.
It will rock. All right, Renee. Have a great
Stay
Christmas.
safe and healthy. Bye for now.
Bye bye.